We are here at Auroville. Auroville is an ecological city that's a demonstration of 50 years of water harvesting and reforestation. In our last episode, we saw how one family in the megacity of Chennai beat the drought that left 10 million people without water by using water harvesting and tree planting to store water and replenish the aquifer beneath their small city lot. In this episode, we travel further south from Chennai in Tamil Nadu to the eco-city of Auroville. Auroville is not like anywhere else that I've visited in India for a lot of different reasons. It's part village, part gated community, part ecological technology and craft center, and part spiritual destination, counting well over 500,000 visitors per year. You'll need to watch some other videos to get the full story. But basically, Auroville is a global peace city with residents from all over the world that was founded by a spiritual group in 1968 and is designed in a galaxy spiral pattern with the golden Matra Mandir temple in its center. They started the township over 50 years ago on a barren plateau with sparse trees, eroded gullies, and degraded soils. Today, Auroville is a lush, mature forest with huge trees, abundant farms, and plentiful water. Even though they began this project before the coining of the term permaculture, many people there practice permaculture, and its ideals and principles are at the core of their development. Auroville's cultivated ecology is a shining example of what permaculture can accomplish at a grand scale in over half a century. I needed to find out exactly how they turned this barren land into such a paradise. So I visited a long-term resident who has been part of the restoration efforts from the very beginning.
I came the first time in Auroville in 21st of May 1972. I was dropped in a desert. There was nothing except some palmyras. The first monsoon I experienced was so heavy and so torrential that the sea was bleeding with the red soil from the Auroville Plateau. Though the greenbelters had made many bunds, they planted the trees, still with these torrential rains, the bunds break, the water washed into the canyons and finally into the Bay of Bengal. Also we got the bad news that the water aquifers are going down, and there might be the danger of saltwater intrusion from the Bay of Bengal.
So what Kirit is saying is that bore wells pumped up fresh water with minimal recharge into the aquifer. So the seawater is threatening to seep into the freshwater aquifer, which will dilute the fresh water with salt water, permanently destroying the freshwater supply. Saltwater intrusion is a huge risk for many low-lying coastal regions around the world. So they started the restoration of Auroville with a massive reforestation project that continues to this day. I wanted to see this in action, so I visited one of the expanding edges of reforestation at the periphery of Auroville, the Sadhana Forest.
We came here in 2003, exactly 16 years ago, to a barren land, and slowly are turning it into a tropical dry evergreen forest, into the original forest of this area. When we came here, this area didn't have a blade of grass. There was absolutely nothing here. In this area, the soil was so compact that 15 minutes after a very heavy rain, I could drop a paper on the ground and it would stay completely dry, because it was just one compact slope going down and all the water would immediately run off the land. This area has 3 swales on the slope. They're all on contour and they're about 35 meters from each other. We have planted nothing here. We've just done the swale, we've dug it here in the trench and put the hump and left it. And it just became a sort of a forest on its own. Now there is zero runoff here. Basically those swales are not even overflowing. The 100% of the rainwater that falls here is absorbed right here. In any condition, even in times of cyclone and very heavy torrential rain, 100% of the rainfall is absorbed in this area. You can almost never see water here because the soil is so soft that it just goes in, it's immediately absorbed.
Sadhana Forest is located on 70 acres outside the bounds of Auroville proper and was founded in 2003. you can see clearly that in 17 years of water harvesting and natural forest regeneration, a thick tree canopy is developed, and reservoirs were dug to harvest water for regenerating the water table.
This is a percolation pond, the first one that we have built in Sadhana Forest. This is the road that leads to Sadhana Forest. The road is actually the dam itself. There's water coming here from a very, very large area. This was the first one, and we immediately saw a result in our well because our well is very, very close to this pond. We immediately saw a rise. The local people have deep appreciation for this work. It's really only for the environment, and they're so happy that we're here and we do this work, which benefits the whole community. For instance, they're growing here a cash crop called casuarina, and casuarina needs quite a lot of water, and in the past they had to wait a long time before they harvested because the casuarinas didn't have enough water to grow fast. But now, with the rise in water table, the casuarinas are growing so much faster and harvest is much sooner. That means more yield per acre.
Sadhana Forest tells the story of the groundwater effects of reforestation in the uplands of Auroville. But even after the reforestation project was started, the eroded canyons were still draining water and soil out of the watershed and down into the sea. The watershed restoration of Auroville started at the top with reforestation, but then the work needed to move down into the canyons to hold and infiltrate water throughout the entire landscape.
This canyon is actually a beautiful disaster. A disaster because all the soil which was in here and probably higher than I can reach has been all washed into the sea during the rainy season. In this canyon there are about 30 check dams which are all harvesting the rainwater and recharging the aquifer.
Check dams are the primary water harvesting structures implemented within the Auroville canyons to stop runoff and soak water into the ground. And there were some other places in my travels in India where I saw check dams utilized to great effect as well. Check dams are not meant to create perennial ponds in the landscape, but to collect silt and hold back water long enough to soak it into the ground. Over time, a check dam can be raised as silt builds up behind it to further increase its water holding capacity. The silt that builds up behind is full of organic matter that's carried there by the water, so it becomes a fertile sponge that is primed for vegetation to grow, which shades and stabilizes the waterway.
A check dam I made out of granite. Granite is a local product. It was that time cheap and easy, and of course it's very durable. On top of it, it is very heavy, so it is an ideal product to make a check dam with. Now, if you make a check dam, you have to prevent that the water goes under, so you have to go deep, make a good foundation. Also, you have to key in the side of the wall, so you have really to cut in that the water doesn't go around. Then, when the water spills over the spillway, you have to make an apron, because if you don't have an apron, the water will loosen the check dam from the front. After the apron you have a toe, which is a small wall also going down in. And in this one I made a second apron with loose granite blocks. All to prevent the breakdown from a check dam, because water is really destructive. Over the years I noticed that Auroville has becoming more and more a sponge. So in the beginning the water stays longer, but now it goes down very fast, which is a good thing, because then it doesn't evaporate, it doesn't get lost in the air, and it goes straight down to the aquifer. As the years passed, somehow the water managed to go down quicker. Of course the vegetation increased, the seeds germinate, trees are growing like you see here. If you go upstream, hardly you can see the canyon anymore from the top because they're all overgrown.
Thus far, we've seen how Auroville has restored the watershed and water table from top to bottom, becoming a giant rainwater sponge of fertile soils and forests. Besides harvesting rain, there's another important aspect of water management at Auroville, which is the recycling of wastewater using biological water treatment.
All over Auroville, the wastewater treatment systems are living machines, biological water treatment filtration systems. So even at the guest house that I'm staying at here, all of the wastewater, not just the gray water, but the black water as well, is being treated by these plants in this water system that you see. 100% of the wastewater is being treated in this small-scale system. And we see these systems all over Auroville. Every building I go to, actually, I look out back and I see some sort of similar type of small-scale biological wastewater treatment system. So amazing that we can have systems like this that are just the norm. They can be very experimental, and this ecological city has really demonstrated that on a large scale you can create living wastewater treatment for all water uses that we see here. This living machine is 3 cells. So this right here is the first cell where it goes through the vortex machine that goes through this series of plants. Then the water's brought through this cascading series of flow forms where the water is oxygenated, taken around, and deposited into the next cell of this living machine where it's run through all of these different aquatic plants, and there's fish, and there's all different organisms, microorganisms, bacteria, and the roots of these aquatic plants are actually purifying the wastewater. We can hear the chirpings of frogs, the chirpings of insects, and after the 3rd stage of filtration, the water is then used for irrigation for this guest house. Auroville is an example of what a township can look like after 50 years of applied permaculture. This video is focused on the water and reforestation projects of Auroville, but there are many other aspects of permaculture there, including food systems, alternative energy, natural building, and community governance. Auroville provides a vision of what many degraded landscapes around the world can look like with an abundant future of permaculture. This video concludes the first season of India's Water Revolution. We've met many great people and toured their projects, doing world-changing work and improving the lives of many throughout India. My hope is to return soon to India and film further episodes. So if you have any suggestions for more projects and places to visit, please leave them in the comments below. And please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you'll get word of future episodes. Thanks for watching this series, and namaste.